Hey, thanks for tuning in to The Power of the W. Today, I get to sit down with someone really special, our very own Nicole Sodawasser. Nicole is our Director of Youth and Outreach and has been in the social work field for almost 30 years and has been a licensed clinical social worker since 2016. She's been such a driving force behind something we're really excited about, our new youth group home, Allen's House. We're going to chat about how this project came to life, but also dive into a bigger conversation about youth homelessness. We'll talk about the unique challenges young people face compared to adults, how it affects our whole community, and why places like Allen's House can make such a lasting difference. I can't wait for you to hear this one. Let's jump in. Welcome to the Power of the W podcast, a space where we inspire, educate, and celebrate the incredible strength and resilience of women from all walks of life. In each episode, we'll dive into the stories, experiences, and insights of amazing women who are making their mark in the world. From personal development and career success to health, wellness, and entrepreneurship and beyond, we're here to uplift, empower, and fuel your journey to greatness. So get ready to embrace the power of the W. Exciting things are happening. Like we're finally, like you and I were kind of talking about, like is the cosmetic part of it now. So it's like, it's starting to feel more real. How exciting is that for you?
It is so exciting. My favorite thing to do every day, first thing I do in the morning when I get to the building is I walk through, because people come in earlier than me sometimes or work overnight. And so first thing I do every morning is walk through and see what's changed. And when I leave at night, I walk through again to see what's changed during the day. And it is amazing the things that happen. This morning when I got there, for example, there was an electrician in wiring some new electrical outlets that we needed desperately. The building was built in the early 1900s, so we had to update some stuff. And
isn't that funny? We're getting excited about like electrical wiring.
Yeah, like things I never knew I'd be excited about. You should have seen me. I wanted to turn a cartwheel the day that our new stove hood came. But it was so exciting just to get those things, because with each thing that comes, every time FedEx pulls up, I know another part of the dream is coming into place. Another part of that is they're going to unload something that is bringing this closer to done.
Yeah. So for people that are not aware, Allen's House is going to be a youth group home, and we'll get into more details of what Allen's House exactly is. But talk about, like, where did this idea come from?
Oh gosh. So the original idea for this space, this building, came from the closure of the John Lewis Coffee Shop's youth and teen shelter that happened, I believe, in 2008 or 9.
Okay.
At the time, Ellen Egley, who was the director of the Doris and Victor Day Foundation, got together a large group of community providers to address the issue of adolescent homelessness and youth not having safe places to go. Out of those meetings, unfortunately, at that time, it wasn't sustainable to open another group home or youth shelter. But what was found to be a need and something that we have created and been able to sustain since 2010 is the place to be. So, that original group of people created, the concept of the place to be, which is a program at the YWCA for at-risk youth. And then ultimately, that group sort of disbanded. The Y has been running the place to be for years, doing a fantastic job. And when they built the brand new building, there was, what's going to happen with the old building. And because I had met Julie, the CEO of the YWCA, because I had met Julie through this group of people way back in 2008, 9-ish, I called and I asked. And I said, wouldn't that make a perfect place for our youth? And she agreed. So from there, things just kind of were put into motion. The building was available. It had been on the market for a very long time and no one was interested. So we took the building that used to be a Y daycare and we're repurposing it.
Awesome. You have heard this, and I've even heard this, but people will ask, is there really a need for this? Because they don't directly see it. So, like, what are the myths and misconceptions about youth homelessness?
I think there are a lot of them. I think, the mainstream things that we see on television or read online has us believing that youth homelessness isn't a problem, or that if a youth is struggling with housing stability, that must mean that they are staying outside in a tent somewhere, sleeping on a park bench,
under a bridge,
popular misconception. And that's not the case. People say all the time how resilient kids are. And teenagers are super resilient, and they're going to find a place to sleep at night. But is that place going to be safe? The things that our youth do to be able to have a roof over their head and be safe from the elements at night put them at risk for a ton of other things. Human trafficking being a big one. When a youth is without a stable place to sleep at night, what do they have to do to get one? And a lot of times it's really unsavory stuff. And our kids are putting themselves at risk. Youth that within 24 hours of a youth being out, without a stable home, within 24 hours, they are at risk for trafficking. They're at risk for suicide, for homicide, for substance use and abuse, and all of the things that come along with it, because they are out having to make significant adult choices very quickly for survival.
Yeah. So yes, for all the people listening, there is a need in the Quad Cities. This will be the only one in the area. The closest one is Rockford, and then on the Iowa side, like 2 hours away, something like that.
Iowa City has a mental health, but an actual similar to what we're doing is Des Moines is closest.
So, what are some of the most common reasons young people are experiencing homelessness?
I would say, the most common reasons are their family of origin is unstable. Whether it's they're financially, unable to care for the child, whether the parents are battling their own, issues with substances or mental health needs, employment, that kind of thing, or just in general, the trauma that comes with it. Usually youth that are coming out of these situations where life has been chaotic, and sometimes there's multiple kiddos in a house with maybe one parent is working and one is not, or there's only one parent and there's not sufficient income. Kids will feel like they need to leave so that their parent can provide for the younger kids in the home.
One of the problems is when there are these emergency situations, there's not a foster home to place them in. So a lot of times some of these kids have to sleep on their social worker's office floor. You know about that firsthand. So kind of talk about that whole issue.
For sure. Probably one of the most disheartening things that I've experienced, working with youth is that when you're unable to find a safe, stable place for a child to go overnight, you're left with a lot of times looking to the foster care system, licensed foster homes, right? Because we know that they're safe. Are they always ideal? No. But in general, they've had to pass background checks. We know they're safe. And when you don't have that available for a youth, and the best option you have is a youth sleeping on the couch or the floor in your office, we're failing as a society to protect our kids. Social service agencies are struggling with this. They have been struggling with it. It got worse, from 2020 to now. A lot of foster parents that took teenagers were older folks who through the challenges of COVID, and really had to take a hard look at putting themselves at risk for a communicable disease that could kill them. Mm-hmm. And they backed out of licenses, and they got really, really picky about youth coming into their home, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
But there was not something in place to catch up to that need.
Yeah. How does youth homelessness look different from adult homelessness?
It looks a lot different than adult homelessness. I think we all have the stereotypes in our heads. Depending on what experience you've had with the population, you're going to look at things differently too. But I think, one of the hardest things about youth is that with the majority of our kids, there is an adult out there that should be providing for them. And they don't have the same abilities. If a 16-year-old has a job that could pay for rent, they're 16, they can't sign a lease. Mm-hmm. If, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old, they're kids, and they think even when they have to grow up fast, at the end of the day, they're still minors. They still require adult help, to launch out into the world and be, a successful human being. They just lack the, sometimes it's the social emotional growth. Sometimes it's the financial, but they just don't have that complete package. I mean, some of our 25-year-olds don't have that complete package. Yeah. I'm 54. I don't know that I have the complete package all the time, but it's so hard. And I think the expectation on youth to be able to provide for themselves what we know as adults struggling with housing instability are unable to do. Mm-hmm. And they have, age on their side and wisdom, right? They have those things, and our youth just don't. So I think adults, we see more, mm-hmm. and we are able to visually see and identify, because of our stereotypes and, whether that's right or wrong, to visually identify an adult as someone who lacks housing. But when you look at a kid, you're not going to know, because the majority of them are still going to school. They might be sleeping in their cars. They might be hiding in their friend's bedroom at night, so the parent doesn't know that they're there. Mm-hmm. All of these things that kids will do to get their needs met. The majority of our youth that meet the federal definition of homeless are in school. And so we just need to be more proactive.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you, which you just kind of covered, but what are the biggest barriers that prevent them from accessing, stable housing? And I know just age alone is huge. I mean, you and Paul, if you have a 17-year-old kid that you're trying to find housing to, again, they're 17. So yeah, would you say age is probably one of the hardest things?
I would say, yeah, probably age, and that, and then, getting them to a stable place, because even with the housing programs that we do have, there's requirements. Mm-hmm. You need to be in school, or you need to be working, or both, preferably. Can they handle that? Yeah. Emotionally, what can we accomplish? Yeah. A lot of our kids, when they get to this point, have been through several disruptions in their life, and school has been a disruption for them. It's rare that we have a kid that's gone, all the way through in one school district and has a strong community tie to that. So we're trying to reestablish those ties and give them, that safety net that they should have, that every kid deserves to have. But age and being able to sign a lease and make those decisions, and just I'm not even going to say lack of resources, but lack of resource knowledge that the adults have surrounding the youth. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we'll have youth trying to go to school and trying to register, and because they're, don't have an address, they'll get told that they can't, which isn't factual. There's McKinney-Vento. It's a federal act. They are allowed to attend school. And it's just that education piece. And the youth needs somebody to say, hey, the school told me this and that's wrong. Right? Yeah. And help them through that.
Obviously, this kind of has a ripple effect. So how does this impact education, health, and mental well-being?
I mean, it definitely impacts. I mean, I think, we can see that on the adults in our lives too, and kids that much worse, right? Because, kids need to have that stability. Even when your teenager hates you, they still need you.
Yeah.
And when you have a youth that doesn't have that stable spot to fall back on, the feelings of hopelessness and dread, and that they're not going to make anything of themselves, that stuff creeps in. And we want to try so hard to combat that. Our Place to Be program does an amazing job with those youth. And with Allen's House, we're going to take it just that one step further.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so let's talk about Allen's House. This is where Allen's House is going to come in. It's going to provide that safe space for them to go until they find a foster placement or they're, back with their parents or guardians. So can you walk us through what support looks like for someone who's going to walk through Allen's House?
I am so excited for this. For as long as I've been a social worker, I've always wanted to be able to connect youth and families to the total, wrap around that total, what can we do to get you where you need to go? And I think we're going to have that at Allen's House. That's what I'm most looking forward to. If it's a service we can't provide, we have a link in the community, but our kids are going to have, a stable place to sleep at night. It will be safe. They will have meals, 3 meals a day and snacks provided. They will have the ability to have tutors. Our evening staff will be able to assist with tutoring. We'll have computers where they can do schoolwork. If we need to purchase online programming for those kinds of things, we can do that. We'll be able to give kids those job skills and those soft skills to be able to interact. And simply, sharing space with someone is a skill, right? So many people, I grew up going to camp, and every time I went to camp, there was new roommates, and you had to learn new skills, and you had to learn new stuff, but that's important. It's so important, and a lot of our kids are missing those skills because they have to survive. If they just want to get somewhere safe to sleep at night, food is tomorrow's problem. A shower, that's tomorrow's problem. But we're going to have those things. We're going to have those things. They're going to be safe and they're going to be accessible. So we're going to take that worry away. So kids can really focus on, okay, I'm going to be here for 3 weeks or a month. What can I accomplish to get me to that next step?
And they're not worried about where they're going to sleep tonight.
Right.
Or how they're going to find a place to sleep and what they might have to do to find a place to sleep. We've been talking about it, but again, how important is it to have a safe, stable place like this for youth?
It's immeasurably important. I think, the majority of us, public folks grow up in an environment where they feel safe and supported. And because of that, we come out of that environment, we launch, some of us more successfully than others, into adulthood, and we go on and take on the next generation. We have our kids, we do our things. But when you're dealing with a youth that has that chaotic adolescence or even childhood, trying to launch into adulthood successfully and feel like they can, it is so difficult. I think one of the safest things you can do for a child is to let them know that it's okay to fail and it's okay to come back home. And those youth are missing that. So with Allen's House, we're going to give them that space. It's okay if you mess up. We're here. We're going to be here for you either way, and we're going to fix it. We're going to find that.
Well, and also just how critical it is to help them now, at this point in their life, and hopefully, prevent this cycle of becoming unhoused when they're adults as well.
Absolutely. And unhoused with children. Because that's the reality of the world is there are a lot of situations where we have young parents and they're not stable which then takes them into raising another youth that's not stable. And we want to try and help that.
Yeah.
And, maybe it's only 10 kids at a time, but we're going to.
Yeah.
We're going to.
Yeah. What gives you hope in your work?
Every day. Every day I see kids doing things that I probably at their age would have thought was completely impossible. What gives me hope is the amount of people that hear about Alan's House and, oh my gosh, that's an amazing idea. I'm so glad you're doing this. The excitement that I see people have in the community for Alan's House, the excitement that our youth have. Whenever they're doing things, one of the Place to Be activities, they had the graduation party for the kids that graduated high school, and there was so much hope in that room and so much enthusiasm for kids to hit that mark, hit that goal, and have that party.
Yeah, I mean, it was really encouraging for the younger kids who are not seniors yet, see the older kids graduate and knowing that that can be me,
that they can do it.
Yeah.
That it absolutely can be you, and it will be you.
Yeah.
It will be you because you're capable.
Yeah.
And we're going to make it happen.
Yeah. So for people listening, how can they get involved or support this work that we're doing?
This where I give out my personal bank account information?
Yeah, right?
Just kidding. Sort of. So there are a lot of ways that you can get connected to us and connected to Alan's House if you would like to support what we're doing. We actually have a Give Butter campaign right now that you can go to the YWCA's Facebook page and you can link to that. I'm going to be making an Amazon wish list also, so there'll be some items to purchase for our finishing touches. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I get to pick out dining wear patterns and things today, so I'm really excited about that. And things that we're going to need for our kids to have, to feel like it's a home. And then, going forward, things that we're going to need to help them launch with. So, like I said, there's the Give Butter campaign, the Y always accepts donations, cash, check, or charge, right?
Yeah.
So you could reach out to me or through the Y's website and just inquire about what's needed. I mean, we've got a price point for anybody that wants to help us. And if you can't help us financially, we'll have volunteer opportunities in the near future as well.
Yeah. And even just word of mouth, spreading the awareness on this issue, letting people know that there is going to be this resource in the community. Because that, like you talked about, there's a lot of great resources in our community, but making sure that people are aware that this option is out there for them.
For sure.
Yeah. For sure. Nicole, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited for Alan's House, as so are you. And yeah, we're excited to open the doors, and hopefully, that will be soon.
Yeah. I'm every day.
Getting closer. It's getting closer.
It's getting closer. And I mean, and every day is just another day closer.
Yeah.
And every little thing that arrives, every little thing going on, our elevator passed last week for the inspection, so any little thing, it's just a huge win every single day.
All right. Thank you, Nicole.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Power of the W podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a friend. For more updates, follow us on social media or visit our website at www.ywcaqc.org. We'll catch you next time right here on the Power of the W.